Hey, what is going on guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best champions to carry low elo in patch 7.17. So if you are someone who is stuck in bronze or silver and you're just looking to climb out and you want to reach gold by the end of the season, then these are the champions in this video here that I would recommend putting time into, because if you put time into these champions as opposed to a lot of the other ones, I think these are the picks right now in this patch that are going to consistently give you the best chance to win. So with that being said guys, let's get started. So we're going to start off in the top lane here, and my three picks right now for this patch are Garen, Yorick, and Nasus. So all three of these champions are very similar in the sense that they're bruiser top lane champions. You're not going to build a whole lot of damage items on them, but all three of these champions have the potential to still deal quite a bit of damage while also being tanky at the same time. And I think that's very important if you're looking to climb consistently in the lower elos, because playing these champions and building tanky on them, it does allow you to make more mistakes. You don't have to position 100% perfectly with these champions if you do have those tank stats. And because these champions just do quite a bit of damage without building a whole lot of damage items, they're very good picks for carrying in the lower elos. So basically how I would look to win with all three of these top lane picks is I just try to win your lane. All three of these champions do have the potential, maybe besides Nasus, he's a little bit weaker in the early game, but Yorick and Garen definitely have very strong early games. The amount of damage that Yorick can do with his ghouls, I feel like a lot of people are just going to underestimate that, and you can really surprise the opponents with how much damage Yorick can actually do in the early game. If you end up getting a lead with these champions though, I would look to continue to split push, because especially Nasus and Yorick, they're very strong split pushing champions. Always be looking to use a teleport down bot lane or just anywhere to help your team out. Try to grab an early Rift Herald and just continue pressuring top lane, get a lot of towers, get your team ahead, and you can really look to carry from top lane with all three of these champions by using that strategy. So my three picks for the jungle in this patch are going to be Shyvana, Rammus, and Amumu. So like the top lane picks, all three of these champions here are also somewhat bruiser type champions. You're not going to be building them full damage, or I don't think you should be building them full damage. With Shyvana, for example, you can go Blood Razor on her, you can go Frozen Mallet, and then after that I would transition into tank, and then you're still going to do quite a bit of damage with the champion. Rammus, you can build him full tank, you don't even have to go a single damage item, and you're still gonna basically one-shot squishy targets just because Rammus does a ton of damage even if he does build full tank. And then with Amumu, he is one of the strongest teamfight champions for the lower elos. It's just very easy if you build like a Righteous Glory on him, for example. You can easily find engages with him, and your ultimate is just a very strong team fighting tool that can just single-handedly win you games. Now, as for how you want to look to play these junglers in the early game, for Rammus, I would just constantly be looking to gank. You should be ganking a lot on this jungler because his early ganks are pretty foolproof. They're very effective. He's got the knockback with his Q, and you can go for like the flash Q to really guarantee that you're going to be able to get onto them and get the taunt off. And if they don't have flash and you can just get that QE off on them, then it's a guaranteed kill as long as your laner does follow up. Now with Shyvana, your ability to take dragon is some of the best for any jungler, because you do have your passive to where you do extra damage to dragon, and your passive is also great if you are taking early dragons because it's going to give you bonus armor and magic resist. So you should always be prioritizing those early dragons with Shyvana, and a lot of the time people just won't be warding dragon in the early game and they won't really care if you're taking those early dragons, so just be looking to do that with Shyvana. Also, I look to counter jungle with her because her clears are very strong, especially once she does get Blood Razor. So try to be invading the enemy jungler, get vision down in the enemy jungle, and just track the enemy jungler. Let your team know where they are on the map so that your team doesn't get ganked, and that's the best way in my opinion to play Shyvana in the early game. And then as for Amumu, his early game isn't as strong as someone like Rammus, but he can still be very effective in the early game if you can play it correctly. When you're ganking with Amumu, make sure you don't toss out your Q right away. You want to try to just walk up as close as you can to the opponent so that they either have to burn flash, and you just always want to save your Q until you really need to use it, because if you can just get close up to the opponent, then you're almost guaranteed that you're going to hit that. Your level 6 ganks as Amumu are are extremely good as well. So once you do it 6, I would be looking to focus down that bot lane, because I think right now in this patch, if you can get bot lane rolling and you can get them ahead, then you're gonna have a very strong chance to win. And Amumu's ganks bot lane at level 6 are some of the best for any jungler. So my 3 picks for mid lane in this patch are going to be Malzahar, Ziggs, and Annie. So in my opinion, if you're just looking for the most freeload champion in the game right now, then I'd be playing Malzahar in the mid lane. This champion is just extremely good for the lower ranks for a few different reasons. Number 1, his ability to shove a wave out quickly without really having to think about it is probably the best for any champion. All you do with Malz is press E on the wave, you press your W, and you just let your minions clear the wave out, and you can just, as soon as you press E and W on the wave, you can just start roaming, because the minions will take care of the wave for you, and it just allows you to roam around the map really well. Especially once you're level 6, I would just look to do that with this champion. Shove the wave out, look to go for a roam either top lane or bot lane, and your ultimate is just so foolproof. You just press R on your target, and it's just a very easy way to win games with the champion. So in my opinion, because of Mal's simplicity kit and because his kit is just very strong, I'd be playing him in the mid lane for sure. Now, as for Annie, I just think she's a little bit of a weaker version of Malzahar. She's very similar to Malz in the sense that her ultimate is pretty much a press R to win ability. It's great for finding picks on these players that aren't going to have the best positioning in team fights, and with your flash ult with Annie, there's not a lot of counterplay to that, so if you can get used to using that correctly, then you're really going to have a lot of success on this champion, and you're going to be able to find a lot of picks on those high priority targets during team fights. And then as for Ziggs, you guys might be a little bit surprised about this choice here, but there's a few reasons to why he's a great pick in the lower ranks. The first one is because people are gonna have fairly poor rotational skills. They're not really gonna care about shoving the waves out. They're not gonna really care if you're just sitting mid lane and taking their tower. And because Ziggs is one of the best tower pushing and tower taking champions in the game, if the enemy mid laner, for example, roams bot lane or roams top lane, and they don't shove out the wave, then you just shove the wave in with Ziggs, you get a lot of tower damage off, and I'm gonna almost guarantee you that in at least 50% of your games on Ziggs that you're going to get first blood tower, and that first blood tower gold is 650 gold, so you're gonna be so far ahead of the enemy that you're just gonna be able to take over the game with this champion. And also in the mid to late game, if the enemy just ends up going bot lane, if they send all 5 members bot for one of your teammates, then you just shove mid lane down with Ziggs, ping your team to help you, and you're just gonna take towers down super fast and win games by just going for objectives and just taking those extremely fast with Ziggs passive and his W. And then the second reason to why he's on here is because games are usually won or lost during team fights in the lower ranks, and with Ziggs' strong team fighting potential, having 4 AoE damage abilities in his kit, it just makes him a great pick. Once you get to the mid to late game, it's pretty much an ARAM in the lower ranks, so if you can just constantly hit your ultimate on a few members in team fights and you can be getting good AoE damage off, then you're gonna have great success with Ziggs. Now for the AD carry role here, my 3 picks are gonna be Misfortune, Twitch, and Draven. So if you are someone who is just 100% wanting to climb, then I would play Misfortune. I know she's a little bit more of a boring champion to play. She's a press R to win champion again here, like a lot of these champions are in this video, but if your goal is to just climb, then I think Misfortune is extremely good. Her team fighting is insane. People are just gonna group up during team fights and you're just gonna press R and completely melt the whole enemy team. So she's a great pick because of that. Twitch and Draven are also pretty good. They are a little bit harder to play though. You do have to have a bit better micro skill on the champions to succeed with them, but the reason to why Twitch is on here is because you don't really need to have the best micro on this AD carry as long as you can reach 4 to 5 items, or if you can reach 3 items on Twitch, then you just have to open up with your ultimate in a team fight, and if the enemy team is grouped up, then if you can get 3 or 4 autos off before dying, then you've pretty much done your job job and you're gonna do a load of damage for your team. And then for Draven, he does take quite a bit more micro skill than your average AD carry, but in my opinion, if you can play Draven at an average level, he's still gonna be a lot stronger than a lot of the other ADs in this patch. He's an AD carry to where he's pretty much unmatched in the early game. His early game is just so strong that you can really get a lead with him. You can bully the enemy out of lane super easily, and a lot of the time you are gonna be getting first blood tower with Draven. The one thing I'd just focus on when you're playing this champion in the lower ranks is a lot of players will just sit bot lane for the whole game. They'll just constantly shove in bot lane with Draven. But if you don't do that on the champion, you're gonna have a lot more success, and you just really need to spread your lead out with Draven. If you don't do that and you do just sit bot lane the whole game, then you might as well just play someone like Misfortune or like Twitch, who can be very successful in the late game. Your early game is your strongest point with Draven, so just look to spread your lead out, look to rotate top lane or mid lane after you take that bot lane tower, because that's gonna be how you're gonna have the most success with Draven. And then last but not least here, the 3 support picks in this patch are going to be Brand, Blitzcrank, and Janna. So Brand is the best lane bully support champion in my opinion. If you're looking for a champion to just stomp lane with and just really snowball the early game, then I'd be looking to play Brand. He's also a champion to where you don't really have to rely on your team to deal damage. You're going to be building damage with Brand anyways, and most of the time you're going to be dealing most damage in the game. So overall, he is one of the better carry supports for solo queue. Now with Blitzcrank, he's a great pick for the lower ranks because a lot of the time you're just gonna very easily be able to find those hooks in the laning phase. People just won't respect your level 2 all in. So what I would look to do with Blitzcrank is just try to shove for that level 2, and then if the enemies is just sitting in the wave and they're not level 2 yet, then just charge at them, look to get a hook, and a lot of the time you'll get first blood at level 2 with Blitzcrank. If you don't end up having as much success in the laning phase though, if it's just an even lane when you're playing Blitz, then I'd look to grab Mobies with him on your base, and while your AD carry is walking back to lane, just look to go for a flyby mid lane with Blitzcrank and just try to get some pressure down mid lane or get a kill. If you can just end up getting your mid lane ahead with Blitzcrank and just looking to roam on this champion when you do get ahead, I think that's the best way to have great success with him in solo queue. And then as for Janna, she usually isn't a support pick that I would recommend for the lower elos just because her kit isn't super good for just solo carrying games, but in my opinion right now, Janna is just way too busted in this patch to not have her on this list. All you gotta do with Janna to be successful is rush the Ardent Sensor, put your shield on the AD carry or the target that's the most fed on your team. If you got a Yasuo on your team and he's looking to dive in, then just look to shield him, buff him up with the Ardent Sensor, and that's how you're gonna win games on Janna. If you just stick by your carries and you peel for them well, then you are gonna have pretty good success on her in this patch. So even though she isn't the most aggressive support and she's not gonna do a lot of damage, I still think that because she is just way too OP right now in this patch, she's still a great pick for the lower elos. So that is gonna be all for this video, guys. These are the champions right now in this patch that if you put time into and if you play them a lot, they are gonna give you the best chance at climbing consistently. For example, I can bet you that if you play 100 games on Malzahar and you also play 100 games on Zed, you're gonna have a much higher win rate on Malzahar and you're just gonna climb a lot faster on that champion than you would on Zed. Of course, you can climb with any champion in the game, but these champions are gonna give you the best chance at climbing the fastest and the most consistent. So that being said, guys, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have yet to already, and I'll see you guys in my next video.